Oh, hello, hello. Welcome. I'm afraid I could do with some. What? I'm afraid I could do with some calming down as my girlfriend isn't the best place right now. Oh. Do you want to talk about it? Because we're having a mental health check-in. You know, you can just share if you want to. I can also go first if you don't. I don't know. Since you don't know us yet, if you don't want to go first. Oh, she's really depressed. Oh, that can be really hard. Hmm. And what? She's at the harm stage? Oh, okay. That's indeed really tough. Is she going to therapy? Hmm. Get well soon, Pyro again. I just read the message. Ooh. Drink tea maybe or something. So you definitely know she doesn't mean it, but well, still hurts now. She also though would live under the NHS. She doesn't like wait, what? Doesn't like because of being trans. The NHS. What is the NHS? I'm sorry. I live in the Netherlands and I don't even live here too long, so I'm not really involved with the short terms at the National Health Service. Is that American? Or it's apparently the healthcare system in the UK. At least that's what ChatGPT is saying. I see, I see. Uh, so she was in therapy, but she ditched it, is not going anymore because it sucked because she was trans. Oh, I don't even want to know how much they cost. Private healthcare can be like really expensive. Mm. But so she's still going. She has support and she's walking through it. But just sort of right now she's yeah, not at a good not at a very socially helpful stage in the being depressed phase. Yeah, but I mean usually like any healthcare is sort of like bad, right, for trans people. Because it's just something we don't really spend many funds on, right? But yeah, she lives in supported housing too because of her rough upbringing. Oh, that sucks. That's like a lot in one. That's just a lot to have. So, how are you? You know? What about you? That entire situation sounds, well, horrible is not really a word I like to use because it's like, to me, I just remember when I was in therapy and when I had to like talk about my upbringing, sort of like I don't really like talking about my upbringing, and it's also because of that. Because it's like I don't want to. You know, even though it sucks, sometimes you still have feelings for the people who brought you up. So it's like a really weird situation where if you tell people what like harm or whatever your parents have done, they might react in a way of like, oh my God, your parents are horrible people. They're like bad humans. And then you're sort of like between chairs because you sort of like still love them, maybe. At least that sort of was the situation for me. So I don't know, it's like a really difficult situation to have this like these are conflicting emotions, and having like another person sort of like have the third person perspective. But it's like really easy to not feel seen anymore because you have so many conflicting emotions about this, and for the other person it's sort of like more clear because they're like, oh yeah, it's horrible. But that's why I sort of like really like to sticking to words, for example, like difficult or exhausting, because that's something which is like you don't have to put blame on anybody, but it still acknowledges the energy it takes to be in that, and sort of also like the suffering connected to it. I had to contact her in the ambulance for her, to be honest, because I'm too far away to be able to help her any other way. I'm a roller coaster. Oh, so it's also like a long distance relationship you have with her. Or are you like on vacation and like right now you're too far away? Yeah. We don't really need to go into the details, guys, because situations can be like really hard no matter the actual things which happened, right? Um so I I believe you. Like if you say it's not really tough, then it's really tough. Not too long distance. I'm from Southwest London. She's from Southeast London. Oh, okay. But it's like sort of it's still enough that so if you say you call an ambulance, like my guess is that she's also like either like harming herself or borderline suicidal, or like that she like something like this, that she needs medical assistance right away. Is that a good assumption? Am I missing? But I bet it's really exhausting to be the support of such a person. Especially because it's like not really fair, right? To her, and there's like not really much different support. Mm. Mm. Hmm. This is a really difficult situation, really stressful situation as well. Does she have any other support? Mm. Okay. Mm. Really tough. How do you feel in these situations? Because I bet it's like really stressful. Mm. Is uneasy really the amount you feel, or is that a vast understatement? Because I just know for myself, like, that would be a vast understatement. I know her conditions, and I know it's not really her talking, if that makes. Does she have bipolar personality disorder? So, like, does it only happen if she splits, sort of? DPD. Let me check real quick. I just wanted sort of like to know what it means. And my phone just answered with, oh, it's an international parcel delivery company. So the dependent personality disorder. Ooh. Mm-hmm. How does DPD work? Like if you say you know her condition and it's not really her talking, if that makes sense. Like this sort of like tells me there's sort of like a split in her character. How does it work with DPD? Because I don't know, I just really, this is like a really difficult situation you're in. Hmm. Actually, I just noticed that we just came back to her immediately again. How about you? How's your life? Hmm. Is she aware of that? Hmm. So usually if you there's like things go smoothly. And only when you're like usually. Hmm. It's really fine. I don't mind heavy conversations at all, actually. I think it's really good that you turn to somebody and basically take on the offer of this stream to tell it somebody. Because I think this is a really hard situation to be in, you know? Because I can only imagine, like, especially if she has like DPD, that then it's really hard to have proper boundaries, you know? Especially as despite being 28 myself, my parents won't let me transition to a trans woman. How can they how do they have a say in this? Do you still live with them, or how can they have how does it work in the UK? Because I think in Germany it's like once you're 18 you can basically like go like they can give their opinion, but it's like it doesn't have the like a veto type influence. Hmm. It must be really nice to have someone who I guess understands the struggle of being trans. I think it sort of gives you two special connection, probably, right? You just actually feel understood by one person. Because I bet there's like so many things which are like really annoying, and you don't really talk about it because it would like take too long to explain, or the other person wouldn't even understand and would just be a bother and stuff like this. Mm. Damn. How was rent in London? Rent in London must be incredibly high, right? So I guess there's like no possibility of like finding your own apartment and stuff like this. Mm. Oh, that sucks. You carry a lot. Like, this is a lot to carry for one person. Hmm. Are you looking for a job, and what type of job are you looking for if you're looking for some? Trying to. Also trying to start vlogging. Oh, that's nice. I also did some vlogs myself. But it's definitely, I don't know. Like YouTube always feels like there's like you need to be like really lucky or like really good to, I don't know, to get any sort of views. Like none of my videos have ever like really made it. Or would you start vlogging on like TikTok or something? I heard that TikTok is like easier to get views like this. Yeah. You send a lot of nice messages. That's really nice. It's really hard. How do you feel about this? Hi, Kickstarter. How you doing? Welcome, welcome. I need to fix. My response should answer that. No, you feel like you do right now, but trust me, you don't. Oh, I guess about the hating life part, though. Hopefully. What about the loving you part? Like, I do hope that you trust her to love you. I'm just changing for a second how often the commands are showing up. So that we're more on our own, I guess. Or like not on our own, but like we just don't get bothered all the time by the bot. Mm. Yeah. Been with her since 1st March this year. I must be doing something right. Oh, last year. Hmm. Kickstarter and Pyro, how do you feel about this topic? Do you feel uncomfortable with this? Because you sure seem uncomfortable. Because I would really make sure that whoever is talking about something like really intense has the feeling they are heard. And seen, you know? I think this is like, honestly, I feel like sharing this feeling, the feeling of like being overwhelmed, even though you're a second person, is already really nice, you know? Because I bet that I don't even know, how should I say your name? Genre fluid made what? um, but I bet she's also feeling really overwhelmed sometimes, especially with this, especially right now. And that's why she reached out to us. So I think like sharing something like this is really nice. Genre. Genre fluid made red. Okay. Yeah. Works front. Wait, I'm confused. It's a nice gesture, though. I did try to get her referred to a hospital near me. It's nice. Hopefully that works and she understands why I did that. Genre or Alice? Hey, I can try Alice, but I'm really bad with names. So if I just call you Genre again, then don't worry, okay? But I'm gonna try Alice. Um, you know, when you say all of this, it's like really like I definitely I shared a feeling of Pyro and Kickstores. Like it's really like it sounds really overwhelming. And listening to all of this, hearing you talk about this, is it's also making me feel like really worried, you know? Because this seems overwhelming. Like it seems like an overwhelming situation. Like it seems like it's too much and you need help, you know? Like you need not help in terms of like you need to be fixed, but just help in terms of like support, you know? You need to like this seems like too much for one person to carry. Yeah. I'm really thankful if people have their names in their names. You know what I mean? It works on me because I can also get you switched to genre if my parents entered. What? I'm lost in this message. It works for me because I can also get you switched to genre if my parents enter the room too. Like, will your parents enter this chat room too? And then I should refer to you as genre and not Alice because they don't approve of you being trans. I'm a bit worried about her. Yeah, I would be too. Like, I personally, I'm really worried about her. Like, this seems like she definitely has like really bad lows still. Lows to a point where you can't be sure what happens, you know? I'm snoozing the ads the entire time. We only have one snooze left. It's partly why I've subscribed to being able to text the emergency services rather than having to just call. Yeah. Ah, okay. Yeah, same here, same here. I get headache from headphones, sadly. My head is like really sensitive. So really annoying, especially for games. But anyways. Okay. So good that I'm aware of that. But is there like I feel like it would be really nice to I don't know, it feels so wrong to not do anything about the situation to me. Like it really feels like I don't know, like I want you to leave here with like I don't know, with some more support, you know? No, it's a that's I mean, I know. It still sucks though, you know what I mean? Like it still sucks. Like I really like I don't know, I'm trying to like think about ideas how there is maybe like more support. Yeah. Because I feel like there must be like more support for her as well, right? Like some in Germany, for example, there's like institutions where you can actually like if you feel like really bad, then you go to this institution and you basically live at that institution and you get like mental health care like the entire time throughout, like sometimes multiple times per day and like group sessions and all of these kind of things. Yeah. I feel like it's really good that you did others because I feel like, you know, like even though you love her, you're not a professional in this, you know? You're not a professional in this field. And I feel like it's really hard to sort of carry this this responsibility, even though it's technically not yours, but to feel this responsibility of like if you say the wrong thing, if you're not able to support her right, it might go wrong, you know? Hmm. I mean, maybe it's worth looking into that if that like if it's still like that or if there's like something different, you know? But yeah, this is a really hard situation. And I don't, you know, like the fact that you say, like, don't get me wrong, though, I really love her, though, it's like, I never question that, actually. You know, because it doesn't, you know, it doesn't mean that you don't love her in any way. It's just, it's just a lot, you know? Like, we as partners, we're not really supposed to keep someone alive or from killing others, you know? And I know that while we live in a society, it's sort of like sometimes ends up in this situation that we feel like, well, if we don't do it, no one will. Then we do still need to acknowledge the fact that we're not meant like we're not made for this situation. You know? You haven't learned this as a job, and you're like in way above your head in this position. You know? Yeah. I mean, maybe there's some options for like how to combine LGBTQI places and like a therapist. Like maybe there's some spaces which are like close by or something like this. Mm. How is she taking responsibility for herself and for her position? Because I feel like it's like there's a difference between having like really strong problems and taking responsibility of them, being aware of them, um, and also being aware of the fact how they influence others around you, and having really bad issues and not being aware of them, and also not being aware of how they push others around you. She doesn't mean it. She isn't actually against them. She just often calls them vegetables due to internet meme culture being the way it is. I feel like that's, like, I don't want to be too harsh on this, but I feel like, there's reasons for everything. Doesn't mean it's an excuse. You don't need to be offended by it for it not to be okay. You know? You don't like it's like I'm just saying at the end of the day, she needs to take responsibility of her own doings. And otherwise it can like really easily lead to a toxic relationship. Mm. But this is even more responsibility you carry. I feel like to me this sounds like even more responsibility. So sort of like I'm like the way you explain about this situation, like I really like the key things I take away from this is sort of that you are personally in a really difficult situation. And I'm just noting this to help myself sort of structurize this. So you on your own, I feel like, are already in a difficult situation. You have struggles. And you could really use support for these struggles to actually, like really fulfill the potential in life, to really lead a great life. Oh, the ad is coming in, apparently. At least Twitch is telling me that in 45 seconds the ad is gonna start. And the ad is like quite long because I only have it once per hour. That's so it's like the full 3 minutes. So if anyone has that ad actually, because sometimes it just doesn't happen, use it to drink something, do a few stretches, do some breathing exercises, maybe some deep breathing, and yeah, definitely tell me if you have it or don't, because sometimes people just don't. And tell me if you're back afterwards, because then I'll just wait and afterwards sort of come back to the topic. So apparently now the ad is supposed to have started. So just if you don't have the ad now, then tell me, because like No ad? That's nice. Yeah. I mean, why would Twitch tell me the proper information anyways? Okay, so anyways, we'll just keep that in mind for the next ad, for the actual next ad, okay? So, yeah. Well, if I could actually, I would absolutely disable ads. I hate them so much. Like personally, I can't watch ads. Yeah, now it's saying like ad breaks ends in like blah 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 minutes. So like, I don't know, you don't even have an ad. Now? Lol. Okay. So we'll wait now. True, Pyro. You're in the no ad gang. Oh, that's such a difficult situation. Okay. Why is Kickstars tapping wah? What ad is showing? Ad is gone? I've noticed yesterday I was getting sick. I've maybe avoided this today. It's also like that's always a really great insight to sort of remember for the next time, right? Well, karma. Oh, the ads didn't work for you? So you didn't even have ads? Oh, yikes. Anyways, then. So, then I'll keep going because I was waiting. So I think you personally are in a really difficult situation already. And you could need support on your own, you know? You need a person to talk to and energy to sort of like, for example, like find a job or like build like a resume to find a job. To get out of your family's business, to become independent, to sort of like finally get to the place in life where you can like fulfill your own potential, right? And I feel like the other big thing I'm getting from this conversation is that she also has a really hard situation. Like her situation is also really exhausting. And she had a bad childhood, and now this, all of this, like so many things coming together on this. Um, and this is hard. Um, and she's depressed. She's not only depressed, but she's depressed with suicidal ideations, suicide threats, and more. Which is really hard to deal with as a partner because of how dependent you are on that person, right? Like you love that person. If there's like a threat of suicide, it's really, really heavy on you. Like it's honestly like the emotional implications of this are huge. Like the anxiety you might get, it's a really, really big disruptance of any attachment you have with a person. Um, And it's also entirely normal, right? Like that's how it should be. Like you love that person, so you want them to live. And I feel like only being with someone who's depressed is already also really hard, because we know actually from some studies that emotions sort of like they're basically contagious. So your chances of becoming depressed yourself are actually higher by interacting with somebody closely who's depressed. Which doesn't mean you shouldn't have like anybody depressed in your circle, right? But it just means to take care, like to be aware of that fact, like to be aware how that influences you, and that you do sort of need to work against it to still be fine, because this will weigh on you. And I feel like especially if there's so much pressure on it, right? Where there's like suicidal ideations involved, it's like even more pressure. And the fact that she has DPD makes that worse. Like it's just like a really sort of unlucky connection, like combination rather. Because if we see this from like a third person perspective, right? It's just like there's a lot of things coming together, and the DPD, if she's like like it makes you sort of like want to be dependent on other people, right? And especially for like anything mental health related, sadly, sort of the first thing you need to do to actually get out of it is take responsibility for them. You need to acknowledge that it's a pattern which forms around you. You need to acknowledge how your life so far has led you into this direction, because it's not only about the really bad stuff you've gone through, but it's also really a lot about how you handle those situations. Because even though, of course, her life seems really, really complicated and really hard, we also know that a lot of people go through traumatic experience and don't get traumatized. So there's definitely like a link where it doesn't matter too much what you actually go through and what you have lived through, but what matters most is sort of how you yourself cope and handle these situations. So that's sort of like the takeaway from this. It doesn't mean that you should blame the person for like basically like, oh, you handled it wrong because you're now traumatized after this trauma. Just, I don't know, like man up or whatever. Like that's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that the way we handle things really need to adjust for a lot of people who turn out to have depression or anxiety or all of these things. Like it's really something on how we learned to handle things. And usually it's from childhood, right? Like as a child, you were basically incompetent and you had this really bad situation. You didn't know how to handle it, and you just found like some way to handle it. And yeah, a lot of the times it's not a really great way, and like later on it backfires, right? So for example, you came to the conclusion that you can't rely on anybody else for anything, and that you're alone in this world and you're isolated and you won't like love anybody because that way they can hurt you. Well, later on, if you try to form like a relationship, right, like it's really hard. Like this is gonna backfire. This is not gonna be well, like good for this, right? But the point I'm trying to make is to make like a good life, to lead a good life, to especially to handle a bad life. Actually, it's really important to have good ways how to handle this, like to find good coping mechanisms, to find to, for example, have like really well emotional regulation and stuff like this. And this is sort of usually what is lacking people who end up with depression and stuff like this. And that's what you learn in therapy. So that's like when I was in therapy, like the first thing, like I came in there and I was just sort of like, I just sort of thought like they just gonna fix my problems for me. Like they're the doctor, like I'm just here, just, you know, and they're just gonna tell me what to do and then I'm just gonna do them. But what I actually learned is that what I do is causing these issues. Like it wasn't, you know, it wasn't my problem, or like it wasn't my fault that I do this, how I do it, because that's what I learned in childhood, and you can't really fault a child for having like not like really good coping mechanisms or stuff like this, right? But like I handled childhood, I survived that place, and now I had these coping mechanisms. But I always I started going into therapy and thought, I don't need to change, just my depression needs to be gone. What I didn't recognize is that the depression is a result of my actions. Like, it's a result of me, for example, not talking about anything emotional and bottling everything up. It's a result of me sort of masking in social situations and trying to like handle every person and not give them the responsibility as well to, sort of like take part of the conversation as well and like take responsibility of the conversation. And so I didn't see that connection, but I think that connection is so important to actually fix things and to actually get better, because otherwise you're just going to find something which like an addiction, for example, which is going to help you to some extent, right? But you're not going to actually get out of it, so that's why I'm worried about her not having made that connection, because you can be really, really depressed. You can be having these moments where you just split, of course. But what worries me is that she's not taking responsibility for her actions in that moment, and just putting the responsibility of her parents, for example, her life and stuff like this. Because even though they definitely even though it's not her fault that she once made these coping mechanisms and formed this world belief system, and that, for example, she's not responsible for being traumatized or something like this. She is responsible to make the change happen. And if there's not any responsibility being taken, there's not going to be any change happening. There's only going to be better or worse coping. Where I don't want you to be in. Because that's really hard. Because you can't make a person see that either, really. If they don't want to. You can tell them for sure, and if they do see that, then they will take on about that. That's sort of, how my therapy worked. I came there, fix stuff. And then basically, it turned out, fix yourself. And I was like, okay. I see. I'm gonna fix myself. Exactly. She's responsible for the life she's gonna lead, and she can, it sucks to say, but if you want to commit suicide, you can in our society. You can. And it's not really anybody's, it's not really something which you shouldn't be able to do, right? Because, for example, I personally, I'm I feel like there's a situation where you can choose to die if you have a really bad illness, for example, right? Or if you're really old and you can't do anything anymore. There's this option, I think in Switzerland, where you can choose to die. And I feel like that option is fair, I think nobody who doesn't want to live has to live. And I also don't think this is we can change that fact either, right? Because the only change how we could change that is by, I don't know, implanting a whatever, I don't know, a mechanism which is then every time you do want to, it's no. That's not this is not the direction we want to go in, I feel like. I feel like the direction where we actually should try to fix things is that everybody, for example, gets the support they need and feels like they could talk to people like this. This is we should fix the why people want to commit suicide, not the people committing suicide. That's, I don't know how I came to this tangent. But I'm coming back now. So, You always keep getting rejected? Oh, that sucks. What job are you looking for? Anything in like IT? Because I, well, I don't have like really amazing contacts or anything, but I have contacts at all in IT. Like maybe there would be someone on our Discord server who like could proofread or like who could read over your CV or something. If that's something you're interested in. Too expensive to hire because of my age, because my DBS is fat. Oh, sorry, that was the bell. Sorry. My neighbor had a package for him. As sad as it sounds, most people I have dated have been the same. Why do you think is that way? Because it's an interesting pattern, right? Like, have you made any conclusions about how that happens? Ironically, this is my best relationship. She's also autistic, but that's not a bad thing per se, of course. Being autistic is not a bad thing at all. Like, I'm probably autistic as well. You're welcome. Do you keep your VODs clips so I can refer back to this if needed? Now I will. Now I will. Ironically, nostalgia is my coping mechanism. Oh, I see that. For me, it's like nostalgia is like a really weird coping mechanism, actually, because my childhood hasn't been great, but some moments of my childhood are really romanticized to the point that I now just like I really get happy thinking about them. But at the same time, if I were to actually logically take them apart, there would be not much left. But yeah. Not having to worry about the rise of fascism in my country, etc. Not only in your country, that's the really scary thing. But yeah, I think that's definitely it. It's part of the topic I wanted to talk about later on. Because I only today came like to another conclusion about this. I wanted to explore with you. So we can actually go into that later. So should I say to her, you are not responsible for your past, you are only responsible for what happens in your present and beyond? Well, potentially. I feel like personally you should talk to her about your fears. That it's like how hard it is for you, you know? That it's like you know? I feel like then you might be able to sort of like see like, but like doing that in a good moment. But I think that's maybe where you see if it's sort of more like not taking responsibility and being like, yeah, but like what am I supposed to do, you know? I don't know. Or if she has also compassion for your side of the story and she sees your side of the coin. I've mainly worked in retail, but I do have some IT knowledge. Oh, right, because in retail it's like age dependent how much you get paid. That's the same in the Netherlands actually. Film industry or just something creative. Maybe there's something. Heat. Yeah. I can't do anything about the dots in my face. But maybe there's like some, I don't know, like sometimes YouTubers have like job offers for like people who cut their TikToks and like YouTube videos and stuff like this. Like maybe that would be an option, like to get some expertise in this and then sort of do something like that. Yeah. Yeah, I guess. Well, you could actually try to because you're like maybe you're part of some political like political parties or actually what am I trying to say? There's like protest educational like activist parties. And they usually have also like paid jobs. Like they don't only work with like for free, you know? And there's definitely also jobs in for example like LGBTQ healthcare or support. Maybe that's also an option, sort of. You know? Oh, are you there by the way? Since I came back. Just making sure. All right. So I think then with that, I would sort of just like maybe she's like already in the in a discussion or something.